Hi, Paula. How are
Okay, there. I'm good. How are you?
you? I'm well, thank you.
Yay!
Yes.
I'm
Connie,
sad,
huh?
I'm sad that you don't have my puppy and I can't see her right now.
I know, right? Connie and I
No.
have been playing voicemail tag, so we keep missing each other messages, but she says all is well.
Yeah, I talked to her last night. She called finally. It was the
Oh,
first
good.
time that I got to talk to her. So it was good.
All of her energy will be focused on Sadie.
Sadie.
Yes, all of it
Yeah.
will be. Yes. Hi, Richard. How are you guys doing?
I think it takes a minute to try to figure out how to get the audio and how to get the microphone and
I know. Here, I'll unmute. So I do a lot of Zoom meetings. So I always have it. It's with breeders. So everybody always has a ton of dogs. So everybody's muted when they come in.
yeah. Keeps it safer that way. Because
Oh
I'm
my
sure
gosh.
once it's barking, then
One starts and then everybody's like run.
they're just wanting to say,
Yes, exactly.
are you getting any sleep now that you have these new babies?
Oh, last night was better. We woke up at like 4. Oh, here, you guys are here. I'll unmute you. There, I think I hear you.
I don't hear them.
Ellie tried to help. That's fantastic. Um, let's see. I'm trying to see if I can help them. I should be able to go in and unmute them, but it's not letting me.
You should have a button maybe at the bottom left that says audio and
Or
video.
mute. Yep, or it just says mute.
The bottom left. It doesn't seem like they can hear us though either.
Yeah. It's funny because a lot of the breeders will be on their phones, and trying to unmute on your phone is really hard.
Oh,
It always scrambles when they have to unmute.
they're working on it.
They are. They're working hard. It's good. Um, they have a Honey now, who was Lady, who is guardian.
Oh, okay. Now they're frozen.
Yeah, but I think they're trying to come in with a iPad.
Hi. Yay.
There
Oh,
we
that one.
go. You got it.
Yeah, you want to show the puppies over there?
Honey.
That's fantastic. Good job, guys.
So did you name Honey or did they name Honey?
They did. Hi, sweet baby girl.
Hi.
Hi, honey. Hi,
Oh my
puppy,
goodness.
puppy. She's so sneaky.
Hello.
Charlotte came. She's like, I'm right here. I'm right here. How's she doing?
Very good.
Yeah. It's really, really cute watching her and Ellie together. That's for sure.
Yeah, they were just going at it just before this call. So
Were they?
yeah.
That's great. I love it. Well, so Holly doesn't have her puppy yet. She's at training at Beth's. And then Paula doesn't have her puppy yet. She's training at a friend of mine, Connie's. So you guys are the only ones on so far with the puppy.
Yeah. Lucky ducks.
Right, right. Look,
Oh my goodness, look at that belly.
they just love each other. So precious.
Ellie
So
looks big. Is she big?
yeah, she is. So she's a Labradoodle that they had before from a different breeder that they were guardians for. So she's
Oh, okay.
standard.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
looks big.
Yeah, she's a great girl. So, okay, what questions, Richard, do you guys have any questions? How's it going?
It's going good. I mean, she's figuring out the potty thing. Had a handful of accidents, but she's knowing to go to the door. If people with electronics would not be paying attention, then she'd be doing better.
That does happen. Yes, that's very true. That's a good point.
You hardly go.
So, but she's doing pretty good. She, I mean, that first, evening, she was pretty jittery and figuring it all out. And then the next day she settled in all with Ellie. And so,
Yeah, I'm
she's
sure
doing
Ellie
really good.
helped a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And Beth and I were talking this morning, like one of the biggest indicators that they're gonna potty is they suddenly change direction or pace. Like they just suddenly disengage and everything changes, like scoop
Right.
up and take them out. That's a huge.
Yeah.
And then 10 minutes into play as well, they usually have to go potty.
What's the doing, honey?
There are babies stuck.
There's nothing to dig in there for.
1, 2, 3. We have Charlotte likes to roll on her back and she blocks puppies behind her. So they get stuck behind her and she lays on them. I'm terrified she's gonna squish one. So they were just screaming. So like
You went to check.
yes. Yeah. Last night she was on 3 of them in the middle of the night.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, okay, so the biggest tips I can give as far as potty training would be watch for that change of direction. 10 minutes into play, as soon as they wake up, I'm sure, Richard, you guys are just
Yep.
picking her up and taking her out instead of like letting them walk out. That's asking
Correct.
for. And then do not give them too much room. If they like, a lot of people will give them their whole main floor. And if they're not ready for that, they're just gonna go potty. And I know
Right.
a couple of the parents were having that problem. They're sneaking off and going potty. They have way too much room then. So cut it way back.
Right.
Start with a play pen size and then increase by a few feet. When they can do that, increase by feet. Like just keep slowly increasing it. Don't make
Right.
it right away. Yeah. And the other big thing I see with consistently with people with potty training issues are, okay, I'm taking them out every half hour or I'm taking them out every hour and they're not going potty. And then I let them back in and let them have free reign of the house. And if they don't potty, they don't get free reign. They go back in that playpen or that crate. And then 15 minutes later, take them back out and try potty again.
Right.
And then like, say you're going every half hour at first, and then you realize, well, they can go 45 minutes and then they can go an hour. So you can expand it that way too.
Right.
That's good. Brandy, how's it going for you guys with Willow? They have Meryl, who's now Willow.
She's probably still trying to unmute.
Yes.
Takes a while.
Hi, it's
She is.
going okay. Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's freezing up a
Yeah.
little.
Let's see.
They're doing a controlled burn by us, and I'm convinced that that's messing with
Okay.
reception. There she is. How's it going?
It's going okay. Yeah, I think everything's going as can be expected. It's actually going pretty good. She's done really well inside with the perimeters that we've given her.
Good.
Crate was really hard the first little bit. And then she's kind of gotten over that hump. And so that's been really good to get her to go to bed at night. I took your advice on the wellness food supplement, the half a tab, and that's her bedtime
Snack. You're great.
treat.
They
And
love
that's been
that.
working well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And it's super common. People are like really afraid to let them cry in the crate a little bit. And of course, I've had several people the first day home text me or call and be like, we've been home for 2 hours and she won't stop crying in her playpen. I'm like, well, take her out of the play. Like she just got home. But you know, day 2, we can
Yeah.
start doing some, you know, here's the introduction to tough life, or day 3, you know. So, and they are going to cry a little bit and they're going to be okay. So that's good. And then you had your first lesson with Christina, my trainer, who is now your trainer. How'd that go?
We did. Yeah, we had like just a telephone conference. I think the initial start day, she forgot to write it on her calendar, and so there was just a little hiccup, but we had a telephone consult and it went really well. She gave some good tips on if Willow's going to be out of her crate while she's sleeping or taking any naps, that it needs to be with Aiden, since we are going to try to get her to be a service dog. And so that using him as napping with him as a reward, just to kind of create that bond, as a really good tip. And so it's been going really well thus far.
Good. Good.
She does get really excited. Of course, he does his voice too, where he gets excited and does the high pitched talking to her like a cute little baby. And so that ramps her up, and so she's been jumping and like licking in his face a lot, which is, he actually likes it. It's odd, but he really likes it.
I would probably try to stop that, because she's going to do it to other people who won't like it. And then breaking it after it's ingrained is super hard. Like my rule is no teeth or feet on the face ever. And I say that because I had a guardian family. They had Hattie, and it's the only guardian dog I've ever had to actually remove, because there was tremendous neglect and abuse happening. We tried multiple times to get it fixed, and tremendous neglect and abuse. But I saw them. I went, Hattie was getting groomed, and she was jumping, and she was 20 pounds, 20, 22 pounds. And she was jumping from the floor and would punch you in the face with her muzzle, because she was so used to being able to do that. And it actually hurt. And she was ripping holes in their clothes. And I watched it happen, and they're all just standing around watching. And I grabbed her midair and I set her down on the ground, and I said, absolutely not, you know, and I stepped on her leash and we began working on it. But that took 2 years to undo that. So it starts out innocent and not hurtful, but boy, that thing can get out of control fast.
Okay. Yeah. And I think more of it is just training Aiden.
100%. Honestly, 90% of training is training the people. It really is.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I've determined.
You're figuring it out. Yeah. Yeah. And you can do things with your kids, like contests. Like that's how I would do things with my kids. Like we would do, I mean, my daughter, when she was 14, 15, still loved a sticker chart, because like my son was 5 years younger. So she's like, well, I want a sticker chart. So we would do sticker charts. We would do like, I would do the contest. We would have like, we homeschooled, and sometimes they didn't want to do them. So I would challenge them to speed races with math, the math tables or whatever. So try to find a way to make it fun and rewarding for them, and then to get their buy-in a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay.
So what other issues are you still concerned about, or did you see where a problem but have been able to ward off, you guys?
I mean, right now, the thing that we're working on is the biting hands and stuff. So, but other than that, I mean, there's just windows where she wakes up, she's in playtime and she's going crazy. And those are really the only time she does it. And so it's pretty minimal. The rest of the time she's pretty chill about things. So
yeah, she's a chill girl. So when is it happening, Richard? She's just gotten up from a nap?
Playtime.
Yeah, it's playtime. It comes when mostly it's with playtime, when she's really hyper and running all over the place. That's when she gets really mouthy.
So then a couple of things. How many naps is she getting before, say, 6 p.m.?
Probably 3-ish.
3 or 4.
That's really, okay, really good. And she should be getting at least 3 and should be an hour and a half to 2 to 3 hour long naps.
Right.
Good. 'Cause that's huge. Like the first thing that's always happening if dogs are nipping is they're not getting enough sleep usually.
Right.
And then, okay, so if it's getting out of control, have everybody bring the play down. Have everybody bring the hand motions down. Hi. When you're playing with a toy, we're not moving it fast. We're going slowly.
Right.
We're petting her. Like have everybody just dial it down. And as soon as she gets amped up, then what I do a lot of when I'm with puppies is I'll just make a really obnoxious noise like that. And then they'll freeze and look at me and I'll start to train them out of it. So I'll start running through the commands they know: sit, lie down, stand, turn.
Oh,
Right.
I think she hears you.
Hi, sweet baby girl. I love you, honey. Look at her looking. You're a sweet baby.
She's
I
like, I
love
hear Mama Kim.
I love that little girl. Aw.
Oh.
So try doing that. And you can also, that 6-foot leash that I gave everybody, you can
Right.
have them dragging, like have them wearing that while they're playing. Of course, you're supervising them so they don't hang themselves
Right.
somewhere, but so you can grab them quickly and go, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. We're bringing it way
Right.
down. Start to train them, maybe bring a chew, maybe put them in timeout in the playpen or the crate for a few minutes. And then if they come back out and they're still doing it, then they probably need a nap. Or they're just too overstimulated.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got her up this morning and took her outside and then brought her in. She just was flying all over the place. And it was fun, but felt like my toes kept getting bit.
That's hilarious. And yeah, and some of that's like normal zoomies. So I just got up and I do have all this pent up energy release. So then the best thing, I know you probably all know this, when they nip you, is to yelp really loudly like a dog.
Yep.
Because that's what they were learning the last 2 weeks from their litter mates. Like if I'm too rough, that's what they do. And they stop and freeze, but you have to be like really obnoxious with it. And they're like, what? Yeah.
And she's getting that with Ellie too. I mean,
Good.
she's Ellie's growling with her and stuff. And then if she gets her, then Ellie puts a pretty good bark out and she rolls over and sometimes we'll go hide for a second and come back and join
That's
in.
fantastic. So Ellie is great because she uses appropriate levels of correction, and that's what you want. Like when I have guardian dogs here that they haven't had that, it doesn't go well for them with Creed. Creed will correct them, and he's kind to a point, but he's also knock it off. So yeah, that's really good. And how is she doing napping in the crate?
We have been putting her more in the playpen than in the crate for napping. But she is, at nighttime, she's sleeping through the night now.
Fantastic. So good. And when you put her in the playpen, how is she? Does she throw a fit or is she good now?
She has gotten way better at that.
Yeah.
She initially was throwing fits, but now she's like, okay, this is my chill time.
Good.
Yeah.
And you just ignored her fits, right?
Yep.
Yep. Make sure she's got a good chew, a toy, and you're going to be okay. Right. And then Brandy, how's that going for you with Willow?
Are you talking about the crating or
playpen? What do you do for naps?
The crate, minus the one that she can get with Aiden.
That's fantastic.
And so that's actually, we turned a huge corner. I want to say it was Monday night was the first night of like hardly any whimpering or anything. It was that she looks forward to go in, and I've got the Dick's crate, so put the side down, and I did heed Christina's advice on just covering the crate with a dark sheet.
Yes.
And so that's just made all the difference when I get up at 4:15 after I talk with her Wednesday. So Thursday morning I did that, and this morning I had the sheet over there, and because she had said that she would prefer, because not everybody wakes up at 4:15 like a lunatic, to push it back to a more reasonable time.
Yeah,
To about 6:30 is her get up and start moving around time.
that's
And
great.
that's the sheet has been the perfect. Yeah.
Good. And these litters really like a covered crate. They don't always do, but these litters, like they wanted it dark. So good. That's fantastic. And did you have to battle through crying it out in the beginning with the crate and playpen?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. It was awful. And I had went through a phase of what did I do?
Right. Everybody does.
And then kind of like, how in the world did I do that with 4 children? Like listen to them cry but I thought I could just kept reminding myself, no, this is the tough part. This is the tough part. So
Good for you.
yeah.
And it's
Now I
so
think
worth
it seems
it.
to be we're over the hump. Yeah.
That's really good. I know. And to put the effort I'm in now, because they'll be land shark dictators if we let them be, you know, and so
Yeah.
just like toddlers. I mean, they're masterful at ruling the world in a very corrupt way. So yeah, that's great. I love it. What other victories have you had or challenges have you guys had?
For us, the victory, I think, for me, from what me just watching her with Aiden and both boys, both Declan as well, but her and Aiden together has been a huge victory. I feel like because now every fear that I had, like, okay, are they going to bond? Are they going to be really good for each other? I had hoped and thought logically that it was going to be a good fit, but just to see that and know that is, I feel like, has been a big victory. As far as any other things, we've only had one poop accident in the house that
Good for
wasn't
you.
on the little wolves crate. So that's been huge. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That means you're doing your job because it really takes us watching. Yeah, and following them. Yeah, that's great. And keeping the space small. How about you guys, Laura? What victories and what challenges?
I don't know. I would say victory. Well, obviously just the relationship with her, with Ellie. You know, I've sent you tons of pictures of that. Like Ellie loves her. I've been demoted in Ellie's mind now.
That's fantastic. I mean, it's sad, but it's also actually kind of, is it kind of good?
Yeah, I mean, in some way, but we were outside. Sarah and I were outside last night. No, 2 nights ago. Anyway, and Sarah had Honey in her arms because we're just trying to get her outside and get her used to noises and cars and, you know, all of that. And so Sarah decided to just walk down the street with her, which normally Ellie would stay right by my side. And Ellie went with her, and I called her back, and she looked at me, and then she looked back at Honey, and she's like, I'm gonna stay here. So she stayed with Honey, and she would not come back to me.
She's like, I've got a new
So
job.
she had a little bit of moment like of conflict in her mind, like, oh, that's my mom, but there's this puppy. And so anyway, so that it's been cute, and I'm glad that she's, you know, bonded and she loves her and stuff. But yeah, it was just kind of a funny little thing because I'm like, normally I'm number one in Ellie's world, but
Mom got a little bit demoted.
So yeah. And I would say, you know, the challenge I would say probably for us has been, she's been doing really, really good on the potty stuff. You know, way better than Ellie did it at this stage.
Good.
But we definitely have had some accidents. So just, I think not realizing how often she needs to go out, you know, and that her little bladder is a little bladder. And
it is as a mini. I mean, that's a big difference from Ellie. Just as a mini, for sure. And every half hour to begin with, I asked Beth today, she has Andrew for a week. And I asked her because he's doing awesome. They haven't had any accidents. And he gets free reign of her main floor, but only after they've gone outside and he's successfully peed and pooped. And then if he ever changes direction, I mean, she's watching him like a hawk. And he'll go to the grate if he'll go to the grate too, but it's just that diligence. It's hard. And it's almost harder when there's multiple people in the house, because you think, I've got a minute, I can go stir dinner or whatever. And everybody's thinking that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So even maybe setting a timer or rotating, okay, who's got direct eye contact for right now? And if someone can't, then she's in a playpen where there's a potty option if she needs it.
Yeah. And we've actually been better about the, I'm leaving the room, somebody else is on duty type thing. So we're getting it figured out, but I would agree that the more people in the house, the more you think like, oh, somebody else has got it. But just, so we're getting better about communicating that. And
Totally. Yeah.
so
That's great. So do you find that she's more dog or people motivated?
I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I could pin that yet, because in some ways it kind of depends on the time. Because sometimes she gets super excited when we're around, and when we come, she's very excited to see us. But there's times where she won't leave Ellie, so
Right.
I'm
When we temperament tested her, Charlotte, let's not dig on my couch. Thank you. She was like people, but dogs were right here.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So,
Do we get a copy of that temperament test, the results? Like, do you tell us what all?
so I do when we do puppy picks. I used to try and make a whole long draw, like it would take me 2 hours to prepare for the family, so that you can understand what it says and means, because we use such shorthand because we know what it means. So it just comes down to, I don't have the time. I was trying to do it. And Beth and Carly were like, Kim, stop. I was like literally ready to have a nervous breakdown over it. So I'm gonna sit here, supervise you, Charlotte. Mama's digging and she's digging in my couch. The biggest thing, and I don't know if you guys have seen this, and it happens on play dates too. And I highly recommend play dates. Everybody's got a sibling that lives close to them, except for you guys, and closer to Littleton. But those play dates help so much, because it gets out that energy, it gets them tired, and really you'll see the benefits of that for a good 3 days. They'll be more tired, more fulfilled, that kind of stuff. But she obviously has built-in play dates with Ellie. So the biggest challenge I see with that is, and I think Ellie does an awesome job of it, but not all dogs do, where they're too rough. Maybe the puppy is too rough, or then the dog they're playing with is too rough. And so monitoring that really closely, having them dragging a leash, stopping it, like it should be reciprocal. Beth did a play date with Andrew and a puppy from my last litter, Quincy. And Quincy, like Andrew was hiding under the bed, and the second he came out, I mean, Quincy was on him, like dominating, jumping, and Andrew's like running for his life. Like that part wasn't fun. And like at that point, you need to immediately stop that dog, because it can develop some fears and aggressions in your type thing, or bad behaviors where they start doing it too. So should be a lot of that reciprocal play, a lot of pausing, a lot of play bowing to invite to play. But if it's that intense nonstop, then put a leash on them, and you got to separate and just be pulling that off. And I do a lot of that high pitched feel that I demonstrated, and I'll stop them as soon as it starts to escalate. I'll go, puppies, come. And I'll have a really high value treat like chicken, and I'll give it to them. And then I'll say, okay. And then they can go back and play. And if they can't stop and come back to me, then the play stops, if that makes sense. Train that.
Yeah.
That's good. Good stuff. Hi, Brianne. Hi, James. So they have Buddy. Have you guys decided on a name? Just trying to unmute it. Everybody's challenging unmuting Zoom quickly when on the spot. They live here. So they live in Monument, Brandy. Well, while they're figuring that out. So I wanted to look at really quickly, in the training tab, it's like the 4th page is the training musts. These are all the things that I wished I had known in the beginning. So I just want to bring them up for everybody. I know we've talked about them, but your brains are like mush. Hi, baby girl. Because so much is happening. Make sure we're only saying their name once to do a command, and we're only saying the command once. If we say the name over and over and over again, their name will have 0 value. I had a guardian dog. I brought her over to groom her, and literally her name meant nothing to her. So I said, the kids are not allowed to say the name for 3 weeks. Just don't say her name, and then go back to basics with training and giving the treat, so that her name has value again. And the same thing with sit, 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 sit. The dog will just tune us out. So say it once. It's so hard to do. It's so hard for us to do, but really working on that. And you can make that a competition in the house. Like, kids, if you catch me saying something more than once, then, you get to squirt me with the water or hit me with a Nerf gun or whatever, something fun like that. Try and make it fun. And then you get to do it to them too. Release words are vital. So we're teaching them to sit, to lie down, all that, but then what is your command that tells them, okay, you can get up now, instead of them just getting up and walking away when they want to on their own. I did not do that with the 4 I trained in 2 years. And so they just get up and walk away. So do it right in the beginning. It's more work, but oh my gosh. And like here, their release word was, okay. It can be free. It can be go eat a deer, like whatever you want it to be. It could be anything. Release is a common one. Break is a common one. Is anybody trying to use a clicker? How's it going? How's it going, Laura?
It's going pretty good. I actually was outside with her. We had Ellie inside and I had her outside yesterday, and I was doing the clicker with her. And like, once she associated that, it was like, she was like, oh, there's this means good things, because a treat comes with that clicker. And
exactly. Yeah, it's a game changer. It really, really is. Because they get that physiological response, on top of, they love to please us and do it. So it's just that double reinforcement. And how are you guys doing on clicking in 1 to 2 seconds, treating in 1 to 2 seconds?
I don't know how much the kids have used the clicker, but I always have like the treat ready in one hand and the clicker in the other hand. So I'm like, click, treat. Like, it's pretty,
perfect. That's great. I love it. Hats off to you. That's great. I love clicker training, and I still pull it out with my guys if we're brushing up, or if I'm training something new. I always use a clicker. It trains so much faster. Come here, girl. Come here.
Yeah, well, and that's what we did with Ellie, so that's what we were used to.
I love it. That's fantastic. Good. Mamas get hormonal in there. She's in her hormonal loveliness tonight. Okay, then collar grabs. Is anybody doing collar grabs where it's the 10-to-1 concept, where typically we just grab their collar when they're in trouble and we're trying to stop them, or we want to put them in the crate, or we're leaving, and they start to associate that with bad. So 10 times a day, try to have everybody in the house walk up to them, grab their collar, and while they're grabbing their collar, they're scratching their neck. So like thumb is under it, but they're scratching the neck, giving them kisses, telling them how awesome they are, giving them a cookie, and walking away. That's a huge tip that I wish I had known. And then the steps to training page that's under training that tells you, like, here's when you use a lure and a treat, here's how you phase it out. How do you know when you can phase it out? When I'm introducing something new, when do I give the command? And when am I just waiting till they figure it out first, and then we start giving the command? So be sure to look at that page. It's real. It can make a huge difference on how your training goes. How is anybody doing the body handling? Look at Ellie. That's hilarious.
Is that the desensitizing stuff you're talking about? Yeah, we've actually been doing that quite a bit.
That's fantastic. How's it going?
Good. There's some that she loves and there's some that she doesn't love, but she doesn't have any, I would say, yet that she hates. We haven't gotten to the hairdryer and the electric toothbrush, but we've done the others.
That's great. And so with the ones she doesn't love, sometimes I find it's doing it when they're snuggly and cuddly.
Yeah.
And they love it all. But if they're in there, I want to go, they're in their toddler, me do, put me down. Yeah. That doesn't work very well. How about you, Brandy? Have you been able to do that? The handling exercises?
Yes, she is fine with everything. Yes, the handling exercises, like she said, I haven't done the electric toothbrush yet. But I have a couple of options. I have an old Z Vibe that we used to use for Aiden for oral speech therapy. So it's basically the same thing as
That's great.
the vibration with
That's
different
great.
textures and
And
stuff.
even
So
if you have
that
clippers at
I
home,
can bring down and utilize that.
that's great. Even if you have clippers at home,
What was
just
that?
even if you have a set of clippers at home, like even like for you, Laura, like your husband's clippers or something, just take the blade off and turn it on and have it be running. Make it a game. You can even put a little bit of cream cheese on it so they lick it, that kind of stuff. They ran to it here. But if you go too long without doing it, they're going to get really adverse to it quickly. So I'd get that in as soon as you can. And then the other really big one is touching their eyes all the time. And I do, I'll show on Charlotte because she's back trying to dig holes in my couch again. Knock it off, Missy. So like, let's see if you can see her here. See, she's panting. She's in her hormonal, where I'll just start petting their face and I turn it into a massage and I'm running my hands over their eyes. And I did this all the time to the puppies, so they loved it. And even if you're not an eyeball boogie picker on your dog, become one, because that if you're doing that constantly, it's touching their eyes and that gets them used to it. If I have a dog that this hasn't happened to and I try to trim their eyes, they freak out. They're pulling away, even just after a couple of weeks of not being at my house. So that's a huge one for being able to, it's like I pull their ears. I still do this all the time to all my dogs, and it calms them too. And it's just a bonding time. So just really keep touching those eyes all the time. And then I'll take scissors. These are the clamps from when I was cutting off umbilical cords. So she wants to snip it first, which that's legit. She's like, those aren't scissors, Mama Kim. And then I'm, yes, good girl. Yeah, you're a good girl, Charlotte and Elise. Yes, thank you. Thank you for not digging holes in my couch anymore. And then the other thing I'm doing is touching their beard a lot, because a lot of dogs don't like that. And their beard gets really long and they look like old men if it's not trimmed up. So keeping that, just doing that handling, just making it a love session, right? Right? You're happy to be our subject. And then the nails are a big one too. What I do on the nails is I'll play with them and I just push the hair back, and I'll even take, we'll just tap them. I'll tug on them a little bit. She got quiet. See, she closed her mouth. She clamped her mouth shut. She's like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. So just doing that a lot. Another trick, when you're trimming their nails, you can do a little spit shine, like spit on your hand and wet the hair back. And then it's easier to get those nails. And then like taking the actual clippers and setting them out on there. And yes, and just putting them down. Yes, good girl. Yes. Because they're used to me cutting their nails a couple times a week. But again, if you go a couple weeks missing that, that's a huge, they're all of a sudden acting like you're trying to, cut their head off with a dull blade for whatever reason. They quickly get out of that. And then the last thing on that training must list, don't allow anything to repeat that you don't want to repeat. So your dog is running at the back fence, back and forth barking. You're like, oh, that's really annoying. I'm gonna have to deal with that later. If we allow it to happen, that is training. And that's instilling a habit. Does that make sense? So don't allow anything to repeat that you don't want to repeat. And it may be that you have to manage it until you have the time or know how to deal with it. And so we manage the environment. Like at Crew, my stud Crew's house, like he would go to the front window and anybody walking by, he'd be barking and going crazy. And so while they were waiting for a trainer, I said, well, he just doesn't get access to that room. Just block off that room, whatever you have to do. Like he can't get in that room. So controlling that environment until you can deal with it is super important. Does that make sense? digging again. Aw, sweet baby girl. That's precious. So, Brienne, how is it going for you guys? What victories have you had and what challenges do you have?
So I think probably the best thing that we figured out was that because we had like a playpen set up in our kitchen
Mhm.
and it had the crate in it also, and then we had draped the crate over with towels or whatever to make it darker.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was getting the sleep that he needed.
Okay.
Even though we were putting him in there. And so then we finally yesterday, after frankly it was driving us crazy, um, then finally yesterday we were like, I think it's lack of sleep because we
Yeah.
finally figured out we should probably have him napping in a different room. And so then we just, because he's been sleeping at night in our room, but we just had him napping because when it's quiet in the kitchen, we figured, well, that should be fine. Well, I don't think it
Right.
was. So then now he's taking naps in our room and he's sleeping in our room. So I think that's better.
Fantastic. And each
So
puppy is different in that some of them cannot nap out like in the big open area. They just can't sleep well. And some do a great job. So it is kind of that trial and error.
yeah, so we definitely had the error part on the beginning.
Well, that's
So
great. But he's
yeah.
sleeping better now.
Yeah, I think he's sleeping better now. But he was like the first few days, he was barking like so much and, probably trying to tell us, hey, get it together, kids, like, and we just could not figure it out. And then finally we thought yesterday, well, we've tried all these other things. We should probably try that. So,
I stepped on a toy, not an animal. That's fantastic. Good. I'm glad. And so now are you seeing a difference in his behavior too because he's sleeping better?
yeah, I think he's doing better. He's still really, he's really bitey right now. So like he goes after our pants, after, shorts, after the kids' toes,
Okay.
I
And that's
so
not like him.
yeah.
So, how many naps is he getting before dinner time?
So he's getting one, two, let's see. So three, I
Good.
think three before.
And like,
Um,
how long are they?
well, they're better now.
Okay. So maybe
Um,
it'll get better now. It can also be
yeah.
overstimulation.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's because that's not like him at all. Like he was never one that I would have to say, stop biting my ankles and stuff. I had to with, Meryl all the time.
Yeah.
I taught her leave it before she left. Um, but yeah, that's not like him. So then we go to the bucket of needs
Okay.
page and look at that and say, okay, what buckets are not full or what ones are over full? What ones are too full, like too much time with people, too much stimulation, too much exercise, or not enough. And then a common one that makes them be naughty like that is I have lots of play, lots of cuddles, but my brain is bored because these guys are smart. Like I had one of my dogs, the guardians were like, we don't know what's going on. Like we're doing everything. We're walking her, we're playing with her. And I went over and she was like a terrorist, like biting, nonstop, jumping, which was not like her at all. She lived with me till she was 11 weeks old. And I said, oh, she's bored. Started training her, spent 2 minutes training just running through what she knew. Gave her a puzzle and said, everybody just leave her alone. Like a light switch was flipped. Totally different dog.
Okay.
So check, yeah. So look at that bucket of needs page. Come here, girl. Come here. She's getting some calcium. Okay, that's great. And then I feel like you've had some tremendous victories with sleep then in the last day here.
Yeah, I think we're making progress with that for sure. And so that's why I was hoping like if we started making more progress with that, then maybe, like the biting would at least calm down. But like and that's why, frankly, that's what kind of, I think, turned the light bulb on for us was because he started barking so much and he was biting so much, like not
Yeah.
like biting, but just like, like because his teeth were bothering him and stuff. And we were trying all these things. And then finally Like the barking was just frankly overwhelming. And so then we're like, oh my gosh, we should probably be having him nap somewhere else. And I'm like, I wish we thought of that 2 days ago, you know?
Yeah, it all
So,
kind of fell into place. That's
yeah.
good. Well, good. And yeah, because he's just not a bitey kid by
Yeah.
nature. So, and that is true. The teeth and teeth will bother them up through like 10 months old. So
Okay.
It's a long time.
it is.
So I talked to Connie yesterday and she has my dog Sadie, who was Stella. And she said that her teeth have been really bothering her, but that she had a toy that she got wet and put in the freezer and froze it and gave it to her, and that was really like cooling and soothing her gums. And so she was doing that quite a bit, like giving her that. And then she said for her food, she was getting it wet and putting it in the refrigerator and letting the food get cold, so that was also like an anti-inflammatory on her
Yep.
teeth.
Both
Okay.
of those are great tips. Another great one, get a carrot. Don't do the baby carrots because they're actually soaked in chlorine, which that crushed my world when I found that out. But if you take a carrot and clean it, and then you can soak it in either water, or you can soak it in bone broth and then freeze it and let them chew that. That really
Yeah, and
was good.
yeah, and that was one of the things. So, and I did that, and he liked that because I thought, well,
Good.
maybe, well, and then of course, you know, my littlest kid, she's like, Mom, I want to have one of those too, and I'm like, what? And stuff. So she's like, you need to make these more often, and I'm like, all right, oh my gosh.
Fantastic. It's all you needed to do to get her to eat vegetables. Another thing you can do is feed them frozen vegetables. Like I buy bags of frozen organic at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. I mean, they're like $2 a bag. And a big one is broccoli, florets, cauliflower florets. You can get frozen squash, which is disgusting, but my dogs like it. Blueberries are fantastic, frozen blueberries. Costco has huge bags of organic frozen blueberries. Any of the berries, raspberries, cherries, you can do, just take the pit out. You can do bananas and freeze those as well. Obviously we're not going to give them a ton at one time. I think it's like 2 to 3 blueberries per 10 pounds. But you can give them those, like my guys, and it cools them off in the summer too. I'll also do, if you can find the frozen chunks of coconut frozen chunks, they love that. You can do mango, pineapple, strawberries, raspberries.
So how do you, maybe this is a silly question, but so if you like have like your regular dog food and then you're like feeding them like the extra things, so like, you know, whether it's vegetables or whatever, then how do you, like if they start liking those things and they're like, hey, I don't really feel like eating my, you know, regular dog food, then how do you, I guess, ward off that?
That's a great question. So typically they don't do that because they love their kibble, but it's great to give them up to 20% of their calories from fresh whole food. It can have a huge boost on health, and you rotate it up. Some other favorites of mine, I love goat kefir. I get it. You get it in a little pint, is it? It's a, Trader Joe's has it. Natural Grocer has it. Trader Joe's also has goat yogurt, but goat kefir is like a phenomenal probiotic for their gut. And you're just going to give them a tablespoon a couple times a day to start with. But it's fantastic. But all those things are just helping them to be healthier. Like they say, dogs eating blueberries, like they live longer. It typically doesn't interfere with that. Now I have some guardians, bless their little furry souls, that I mean, like, oh, you don't want that? Let me give you something else. Let me give you this. 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 And so now the dog is like, give me something else. So that's different. That's where they're going to be like, and it's Charlotte's guardians. I tease them all the time. They're like, well, we gave her eggs this morning and then she didn't like that. So we did this and then we did that. So I'm like, does she eat her dog food? Yes. Well, then make her eat her dog food. Like you can do some of that, but too much is too much. So And we're training with their dog food throughout the day too, but you can also train with pieces of carrot or, you know, that kind of stuff if they'll eat them. So it's great to introduce that up to 20% of their calories a day.
You listed all of those fruits and vegetables. Is there anything to avoid, like anything that's dangerous to them?
Great question. And there is a page on it under health of the foods to avoid,
Okay.
but raisins and grapes are very toxic. Xylitol is huge, and it's also now called birch sugar. Charlotte, stop it. Mama Kim's gonna knock you out. Come on, let's go. No, come, let's go. Let's go. Thank you. Yep. Birch sugar or xylitol. So what it does is it drops their blood sugar and it can kill them. And it's in the most common places to find are gonna be mints and gum. So watch the purses and the kids' backpacks and bags on the floor. And then it's in a lot of nut butters too. So just check the ingredients. Like honestly, I love almond butter for them, or sun butter. And I just get either Trader Joe's brand or I get the Walmart organic and they love them. So those are the big ones to avoid. You're not going to do the pits, of any of the like fruits, like, what are they called? Avocado pits. You're not going to do those. Let me see what else. Xylitol. You're going to avoid sugary foods. Like don't do pup cups. It's I mean, yes, they love them, but you know, I love a gallon of ice cream too. So it's just, I would not do that regularly at all. No cooked or smoked bones. That's huge. If they're cooked or smoked in any way, they'll splinter and it can be very deadly for them. Raw bones are fine as long as they're size appropriate for the, you know, you're not going to give, I cracked our lab's tooth. I bought an antler bone that was like, because my lab was huge. So I bought a huge antler bone and it literally cracked his tooth in half. So, obviously alcohol, avocado leaves, seeds, and bark. They can have avocado fruit, but not the leaf, seed, or bark. Yeast dough, it rises. Grapes, raisins, and currants. Onions, chives, and leeks. Oh, I didn't know garlic was on here. Garlic is totally okay to have. Ignore that. I need to fix that. There was a study that was out saying garlic kills dogs. It's terrible. Don't use it. And anybody that says that, they don't know what they're talking about. There was a study done in like 2000 where they were giving the equivalent of like 40 cloves of garlic to a dog, and it had very slightly elevated blood markers in one area. The dog didn't even get sick. So those same people came out and said, sorry, it is actually safe. Just, you know, don't give them 40 cloves at a time and you're all good. Garlic actually is one of the best flea, tick, and heartworm deterrents, but it's fresh garlic. You crush it. And there's a thing in the group, a slide that I made that shows how much they should have. Just go in the family group and search garlic and it'll come up. I have friends that live in the South and that's all their breeder dogs get for fleas, ticks, and heartworm is garlic. Macadamia nuts you want to avoid for them. Chocolate can be fatal. Coffee, tea, and other caffeine. So those are the big ones. Great question. There was something else I was going to say. We were talking about what to eat, not eat. Oh, does anybody have any questions on flea, tick, and heartworm options?
I guess my question is, should I be sending something for Connie to be using at this point, or just wait till she gets home?
So she could do fresh garlic if she wants to. Connie does live in a very, very wooded lot, and they are doing controlled burns right now. So mosquitoes are coming down from the mountains. We just don't have a lot of mosquitoes here unless there's a fire pushing them down. Laura, do you guys deal with mosquitoes at all in your yard?
Minimally.
Yeah.
I think it mostly depends on how wet it's been.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So shaded areas and under bushes and plants and stuff are where you're watch for it the most. There's a phenomenal product called Wondercide. It's on your favorite product sheet. It attaches to your hose and you spray it. It's essential oils. And that is phenomenal, not just for the animals, but for us. Like it definitely keeps the mosquitoes away. I actually spray it when we were in Kansas City. I would spray the side of my house because we had ants horribly there. And the dogs can be right with you when you're doing it. That stuff's fantastic. There's And I'm going to do a short video soon and put it in the group on the different options, and I'll put all the links there. I had it, but when my Facebook got taken over, they removed it. But there's a tag called Tickless. It's ultrasonic and it syncs to their heartbeat. And my guys wear that. I think they're $50 and it lasts for a year. And people swear by those. That's what my guys are using. There's a phenomenal product from the company that the Coachy Free and Paxate are from called HWF, which actually stands for heartworm free. And you give it once a day for a week and then off for a week, once a day for a week and off for a week. And it's the same dosing that they get of the Coachy Free and Paxate. You just can't use it at the same time as Coachy Free and Paxate, but that one's fantastic. I use a product called Flea Free. It's a liquid. And they say you can put it in water. I just don't do that because I don't know that they're going to drink it all. And then I don't want them to stop drinking their water because it's got apple cider vinegar and garlic in it. But I just put it in my guys' food and they gobble. I do it a little bit of the goat kefir and they just gobble it right up. So there's lots of options. There's lots of other options besides that. The Wonderside company has it's an essential oil collar that you can wear. You can also put essential oils on them. Which I will link that when I do in the next few days. I'll do one and put it in the group. It's a company called Animal EO, and it's a vet that all she uses are essential oils, and she's got stuff that's great. And you just put 1 drop on their collar, and you can do 1 drop on their tail, on the base of their tail, with mixed in with a little bit of coconut oil, anytime you go out, type of thing. If the most important thing, according to Dr. Karen Becker and many of the holistic vets, is that you test them like 3 times a year, like every 4 months. If you test them at my vet, it's $40, and you do a test that also tests for tick-borne diseases. And you can just ask them, does this test for that as well? There's a test called 4DX that does it. And then also Apex. And so like we just tested Bear the other day, and he may be positive for heartworm. I don't think he is, and neither does she. They think it's a false positive, so we're sending it back out. But if it is, we're going to treat him naturally. And if you catch it soon, it's easy to do, because the worms don't take over the heart until 4 months after they've been bitten by the mosquito. So, and I know we're most like Todd. I know in Kansas City, like my vet flat out told me, and they're not a big issue here. So just spray those shaded areas in your backyard and with the Wonderside, and do the testing. A lot of people just do the testing, and if they have it, then they treat them, because they have to be bitten by a female mosquito that actually has heartworm in order for them to get it. So so Todd, challenges, questions, victories. They have Beethoven, who is now Jack.
Yeah, Captain Jack.
Captain Jack. I love it.
Yeah. So our victories are Jack sleeps about 7 hours a night.
Very good.
Because Willow their crates are basically next to each other. So he kind of feeds off everything that Willow does. Jack kind of feeds off of that. So like right now, Willow's spread out on the couch laying down and trying to sleep, and Jack's basically right next to her trying to sleep as well.
Love it.
So that's a victory when your dog sleeps 7 hours. You got to get up to let him go potty, and then he goes back, and then he quietly goes back to his bed and just hangs out, so you get plenty of sleep.
Yes.
The challenge, well, I was like a kid in a candy store when I got him, so I took Monday and Tuesday off and didn't really put him on a schedule because I wanted to play with him all day, even though he would sleep. But when my wife worked from home and had to keep him the other day, all hell broke loose, because one, we were giving Jack too much space, because I was constantly watching him and taking him out. So today or last night, we bought a bigger playpen for the basement. Sarah created a schedule, and then we've probably got everything that we have blocking off the living room so he can't escape to the kitchen.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and if I was on video, I don't know why my video is not working. I'd show you what my living room looks like, but it worked really well.
Good.
He did get I don't I don't know if maybe me and him had passed something to each other, because I was sick for a couple days, and then Jack was sick yet last night. But everything seems to be back to normal with him. So
Good.
um,
His stool's
whatever.
better.
Yeah. I don't know if he maybe felt the anxiety a little bit yesterday.
Oh,
Um,
I bet.
you
Sure.
know, just and went to the bathroom a few more times, but like today, since we figured out, like you said last night, shorten everything, kind of limited spacing. Um, Sarah said he did really well today. When he went outside, his stool's back to normal. No messes in the house today, so those are victories.
Fantastic. That's Todd, those are huge victories because last night you guys were pretty frustrated and he was having accidents and yeah, that's fantastic. Kudos for you guys. You handled that really, really well.
Yeah, and we use the Wonder Side. We've used it for 2 years since we've had Willow.
Mhm.
I use the spray for the yard. I don't think I've had a mosquito in the yard. And we also use the Wonder Side, the flea and tick that you could just put the line kind of down their back with the oil.
Do you? Okay. How do you like it?
And it works. I haven't seen a flea on her. She did have a tick the other day on her face. So what we did is we put last time we put it on her, Alyssa put some of the oil on her fingers and then just rubbed it on her, like around her nose and kind of on the hair around her face. So
Yeah,
it would be on there, and don't really have any issues.
that's fantastic. And she probably picked that up sniffing. And even, I mean, we used to have my lab. We lived in Michigan. We had our lab on Revolution and he had severe reactions to it, but we would pull ticks off of him all the time on that. So 1 and 2 years on her face, that's great.
Yeah, and I think it's, we take her on walks and around the golf course, and there's wooded area, or the wooded areas and the outlying areas, but not everybody's spraying their yard. So I think she could have picked up somewhere on our walk.
For sure. And a tip on that, like the dogs always want to go walk in the, like if there's a yard with taller grass and try to avoid, because that's where the bugs are going to be hanging out, the ticks and the fleas and that kind of stuff. So I just don't let my guys go on the tall grass.
Yeah, and I just about got my best laugh as Sarah tried to step over the gate and almost busted her butt. So it'll be interesting as we navigate this living room.
That's hilarious. I know it won't take long and you'll be free agents again, able to walk through your house without tripping.
Yeah. But he's doing good. He's just sitting right next to me trying to catch some Z's as much as he can, I guess.
That's great. And is he doing well in his crate or playpen for naps now? Doing better?
So since we just started and we put him down in the basement, Alyssa didn't turn the TV on, so maybe there was a little noise that he could hear people talking and felt more comfortable. So he did kind of pout most of the time and didn't sleep, but he's just going to have to get used to it because he's,
100%.
when Sarah's working from home, she has to close the door and be on meetings. So
Yep.
He's just going to have to get comfortable down there.
Yep, it's perfect, Todd. And like you said, it's finished and it's cooler and he'll be happy. Definitely do noise. This litter is funny. They like to, both these litters, they like to have some noise. It was Brandy, you said it was too quiet at first. The boys were trying to be so quiet for Willow and she just couldn't sleep. So I always put on a lullaby CD whenever they would, almost all the time when it was nap time, and they were funny. They knew that meant it's bedtime. And they liked it. And some litters don't like that as much, but these guys really did. So yeah, that's great. Well, I'm really proud of you guys. You handled that really well, Todd. And yeah.
Hey, Kim, I have to jump off here, but I want to just encourage all of y'all to post more pictures of your puppies because I feel like I know and love all of them and I just want to keep seeing them. And I'm sad that Kim doesn't have a daily video of them just playing. So take your own videos, get them posted. Let me enjoy your babies.
That's right. We love it. Todd, the King family does a great job of that. We appreciate it. We'll see you later.
Yeah. Keep
Bye.
posting, Todd. We appreciate it.
Yes.
All right. Bye, guys.
I will.
Oh, I will, he says. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions that you guys have? Questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question with regards to like the toys when she gets really rowdy. It's that pre-bedtime burst of energy, and you called it the witching hour, and where she kind of gets the zoomies and stuff. She gets very playful, a little nippy sometimes, like others were mentioning. But is it okay to play kind of the tug of war game with toys? Because
It,
as I was watching it, with a couple of them, I was like, oh, I don't know if we're getting too aggressive, or we
yeah,
shouldn't be doing that at that time.
great question. So yes, it's okay to play tug of war if you get to win. If anytime you tell them to drop it, they drop it and they're not getting nippy and bitey at your hands. But if they're going in that crazy overdrive, we don't want to add to it in any way, because we're teaching them, hey, let's go higher and higher and higher. So yes, it's okay to play tug of war. It's a slow tug. And then lots of, you have to release it. And in training that, you can have a second toy that they release it for, or a treat, like a piece of cheese. And then teach your release word with that. Couple of things with my puppies. So 5:30 to 7:30 for my dog, like I call it witching hour. Like they just kind of lose their minds a little bit and they get a little bit crazy, and the whole neighborhood, like all the dogs in the neighborhood are barking. So that's when that's when my guys get a bully stick. Every night, whenever I have a puppy, like that's when they get their bully stick. And that kind of takes that away. I make sure their buckets are full going into that. Or if they're tired and it's nap time, then we're just going to force that nap then. But again, it's okay for them to get the zoomies. They literally do need to release that extra energy, but we can't be doing drive-by snag and grabs on ankles and clothes and flesh.
Yes.
So that's a great question. Anybody else?
So I wanted to ask in the morning, so what he does is like he'll wake up and then we'll take him out and then we'll put him back to bed and then he'll wake up again maybe 2 hours after that. And then he's like, okay, I'm ready for the day. And right now that's about 5 o'clock. And so then he's like, okay, we need to go outside, we need to play, we need to do all this stuff. Like this is what it feels like. Maybe it's not what it is.
Are empty. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm like, there has to be something that we need to do in the morning, because otherwise it's like taking a million years.
So what I
So
like to do, that first wake cycle, I always try to get them outside. I try to let them sniff. I try to fill all their buckets. Like I do training, like that first wake cycle, if you can, really pouring into them. And sometimes you can't because it's how your schedule goes, or like on the weekend you can't, but the weekday you can't. Try and schedule a play date with one of the litter mates in there. Maybe that will help you for 3 days. Like it will make a big difference. Yeah, but at some point his buckets do have to get filled. So, and it can be fast. You can feed him his lunch where you're throwing the food and you're training with it. And then you're playing a little tug and you take him outside while he goes potty and you let him sniff and you take his food outside and you scatter it and let him find it in the yard. Like you can do those things. And in like 10 or 15 minutes, you can fill most of those buckets. And then he's ready to be entertained on his own.
okay.
Or she is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out, because I'm like, we were trying to figure out what to do in the morning, because then it's like, it's a lot of time, but then I'm like, I don't think it needs to be this much time, but I couldn't figure out what we were doing, or what we're not doing.
So what's a lot of time?
Because like when he wakes up at 5, then like I'll take him outside, he'll sniff around, we'll be out there for a while, he'll go to the bathroom, we'll come inside, he'll want to eat. And so then a lot of times he'll eat from like one of those like puzzle thing, like not a puzzle thing, but like one of those balls that you stuff the food in and then it like whirls around. So he finally started doing that and stuff. But then it's like then he runs laps in the kitchen.
Yep,
and
that's
everything.
very normal. He's releasing
Okay.
that extra energy and he needs to release that.
Okay. And so
So
he's
this is 5
usually,
p.m., right?
what's that?
This is 5 p.m., right?
5 a.m.
Oh, 5 a.m. What time's
Yeah.
he in the bed?
He's going to bed. Well, he won't go to sleep until late because like I don't go to sleep until late. And so he'll wait for me. Like, so even like if James is in our room and lights are turned down and stuff like that, like I was talking to my folks the other day and I came upstairs and it was 11 o'clock and that kid was awake waiting for me to get into bed and stuff.
Aw.
And then finally, like, and then finally he went to sleep and I'm like, kid, you need an earlier bedtime and stuff. But
So he
um
probably napped though between 5 p.m.
he did.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's legit. Like that can be a legit schedule. And they're getting into a routine. So, yes. Again, I would say play date. That's going to exhaust him once or twice a week. And that'll help all of that. And then as you're figuring out a schedule, it'll help that as well.
Okay.
But morning, like when they wake up, so if he goes to bed at 11 and he wakes up at 5, I make him go back in the crate.
Well, he goes to bed at 11. Well, at least he did the one night. He woke up at 3. We took him out. He went to the bathroom. Then we put him back in his crate. And then he got up at 5 and he was like, I need to run laps in the kitchen.
Yeah, and he was probably hungry because at that point that was 6 hours. So and he hasn't even been there a week yet, but that I would be looking for more with that.
Okay.
Does anybody else have anything you want to add that could help her that you've been able to do with that?
I always think if you can take
I
them
would
to the
just go back
yard
to that.
and do the puppy touch where they can, if they're doing that, where they can sprint a little bit and then just, and try to train them like to stay or whatever, or sit when they get there and then walk a little ways and just have them run. That just kind of tires them out before bed.
Okay.
Yep, that's really good. Be sure you're doing something to use that brain at night. What were you going to say, Brandy?
Oh, I was just gonna say the covering the crate was a huge one for me because I get up, so I go to bed a little later because I'm up studying for a class. But then, so I would put her in her crate, and that cover across there kept her from being able to see me. Obviously she can hear me, but to see me and have that eye contact while I'm going up the stairs to go to bed myself was helpful. And then in the morning when I would come down at like 4:15, just having that cover, because then I would feel guilty like making eye contact with her, like, oh, I should just take her out to go pee. And then it was hard to get her back because she was acting like she was ready to be up for the day. And that's when Christina was like, yeah, you need to put her back in a crate and keep it covered and not engage with her. Just let her go potty, put her back in, have it covered, and then me go downstairs and do my workout or do my studying in the morning at that time, until try to push it as close to 6:30 as like we would during a normal school time, because my one of my twins will be going in a middle school, so he'll be moving around that time to get ready for school. So so just trying to think of the long term
Yeah.
goal ideal of schedule, so you can get some sleep.
Yep, for sure. And make sure too, Brienne, that you guys have chews in there for him. Like you've taken him out, he's gone potty, give him a couple option of chews. And sometimes what I'll do, and a toy or two, but I'll also put maybe, 10 pieces of kibble in there. So not enough that is going to make him like if he's just gone potty. So it'll help fill his tummy a little bit and tide him over.
Okay.
Try that, see if that doesn't help you. But again, try and do the play dates. That can be such a game changer. For 3 days, you'd be like, whoa, that was miracle. That's gold. I love it. Okay. Anything else anybody has? If you guys do, don't hesitate to call or text and then put it in the put it in the Facebook group too, because if you're experiencing it, either somebody else has or they're going through it too. So feel free to reach out to me or to reach out to each other on the group. That helps a lot. All right. Well, I appreciate you all so much. It's so fun to hear. I think you all are doing a great job. Of course, there's some bumps the first week, but you guys are really doing a great job. You should all be very proud of yourselves. All right. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you, Kim. Bye.
Bye.